Hey YouTube, welcome to RV Daydream, and I think I got a solution for the generator.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
You guys know that whenever we were out, there was more than one boondocking situation that I ran into to where it'd have been nice to have a generator. And yes, I'm walking to the back of the RV. And it's only because I think I can do something that will make the mount here just sort of temporary and not put any real additional weight on the back of the RV. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. I had mentioned in the past that I was going to try to find a way to mount the generator on the RV. That was when we planned on potentially keeping the RV. Now, I know that this RV is going to be with us maybe even all of next year, all of 2018. However, that's not long enough for me to make the modifications that I wanted to mount the generator the way I wanted to on the RV. What I planned on doing, for you guys that haven't seen those videos in the past, was taking my propane tanks off the tongue of my trailer, making a compartment door and a sealed compartment that would take up part of the front right corner of the trailer that's standing in the trailer looking forward. And there's a cabinet in there already. I would have to make the cabinet a little bit bigger, and I was going to make a tray compartment situation to where I could put the propane tanks and slide them in and out, or just set them in and out and free up the entire tongue except for the batteries. Now the batteries stand up off the tongue about that high, so all I'd have to do is just build a slight platform and I'd have all the room in the world for the generator to mount. However, one of the things that have kept me from doing that is nobody makes a very good generator box yet for the Champion generators. I think I'm going to have to build my own generator box whenever I do decide to mount this thing permanently outside of the RV. We'll cross that bridge if we ever get to it, but I think that I'm going to end up doing it. It's just a matter of finding some good aluminum diamond plate, somebody who has a good metal bend, a metal brake to where they could bend that metal for me, and somebody that knows how to weld pretty well and make good precision fits. Or if I could find a truck box that maybe that thing would fit in, that would change the game there too. But again, that's all in the future. Back to what I was talking about. I'm going to mount the generator on the back of the RV, but I'm not going to do it while traveling. What I mean is I'm going to make something on the back of the RV that can be accessed just when I want to boondock and just when I want to put the generator out whenever we're boondocking, and have a place for the propane tanks also, and have it all secured. The way I'm going to do that is with a hitch cargo carrier. Now let me tell you about the deal I got on that. It's a beautiful day out. Really, really nice. The wind is blowing. We missed storms last night, so man, just a really, really nice day out. It's about 82 degrees. I love it. Oh my God, I found my nozzle. Can you believe it? Look at that. Wait till Heidi sees that. This is from her grandparents. Her grandparents have had this one. We have two of them, and I just bought a replacement for this because I couldn't find it. I knew I set it somewhere, but I didn't know where. Man, I'm getting senile because I hardly ever misplace anything. Just let you know, I've misplaced my keys 3 times my entire life. All right, so here's the cargo carrier. This is 750 pound capacity if you've got a class 4 receiver. That's nice. I mean, 500 tongue weight. The generator don't weigh that much. Even with 2 propane tanks, it still don't even come close to that. And this folds up. You can see in the picture here, sort of. You know, it flips up. Now, here's the deal. This is nice. Of course, this isn't the length. You have to assemble it. And it's longer. It's 60 inches by 19 inches. And the generator is only 28 inches long, and it's 19 inches wide. So it'll fit in there. And not only that, but the propane tanks will fit also. And I can secure them. Again, this is not for traveling right now. This is just for whenever we park somewhere overnight, I can pull the generator out of the back of the truck in a propane tank and mount it on this and not have to worry about it. For the deal that I got on this, these things sell for about $84. They were on sale for $74. I had a coupon, and it was a tent sale that got me this for $59. I mean, that was an excellent deal. And the reason I got steel over aluminum, although it's heavier, little sweat bee trying to bite me. It's harder to cut through. I mean, that aluminum one, if I mounted the generator to it, somebody could just cut the aluminum. Take a hacksaw to aluminum, watch how easy it's to cut, and then try to do it to steel. It takes a little bit longer. So we're walking to the back of the RV, and the weight of that steel one isn't that much. It's not enough to really worry about, and it's going to be secured in the up position whenever we travel, all the time. And whenever we get somewhere, if we're not boondocking, I can lower it and I can get to our trunk and get all our stuff out of there that we need. The nice thing is it'll fit in between the lights. It's not going to take up too much room. And again, it'll be out of the way for the most part until we're boondocking. And you can see where my cable is. I just have to pull the cable out just a short distance and plug it in the generator, and I can run the air. And the propane tanks can sit on either side. I love it. I mean, I think it's a great idea. Let's go ahead and get this thing assembled and see what it looks like. I'm not going to make you guys sit through all the assembly because it's going to be pretty straightforward. I mean, just looking at the pictures you can see. But there's no drilling. It just bolts together. So let me see if I can get this together before the sun goes down. The sun is making the shadows long, but it's on there. And of course, it don't go on the truck. I just wanted to show you what it looked like. So this is it folded up and in its stowed position. The one thing that I would do is, of course, add an anti-rattle on the connector so it doesn't do this and move around. I've been swatting sweat bees. That's probably one of the reasons it's taken so long. I can turn a nut a few times and then swat for a sweat bee. I've been doing that the whole time. They're everywhere. I don't know, it's just this time of day, this time of year. But yeah, I don't like this part at all. And I can fix that easily by having an anti-rattle clip that I've made for my hitch. You can just get a shackle bolt and do the same thing. This is in its stowed position, and then once you get to wherever you want to go, you just put it down. So let me show you what that looks like. Just pull this pin, kind of wiggle it because it is a tight fit, and then drop this down, and then reinsert the pin and the clip. Now you can see the kind of distance that you have between here and here. I don't like that, but for the fact that this thing folds, that'll work out great. And like I said, I think I'm going to try to make it to where it's underneath the RV more, meaning that I'll drill a couple of holes on the receiver tube down here, which I just have a bolt in there right now, to make the receiver go in a little bit deeper, and we'll make the tube stop a little bit, further under the RV. Let's see what it looks like with the generator on there. So what I would do is unload this out the back of the truck, wheel it to the back of the RV, and then lift it up onto the RV bumper. Now, I'll be the first to say, this isn't light. It isn't a lightweight generator. It's kind of heavy, but still manageable. And it is more than able to fit on there with room to spare. So let's see what the propane tanks look like up here too. So there, that's what it'd look like on the back of the RV. Just picture, instead of a truck here, there's an RV there. And we would have it running. I gotta charge that battery. This is going to work. Again, we'll go into this more whenever I got the tube and everything on the bumper of the RV. There is a guy that makes some plates that secure to the RV to help support that little thin bumper. I don't know if it works or not. I'll have to look into that more, because that would be an easy solution. If I can make that bumper more secure, then I could just make it to where this hitch gets bolted to the bumper. With, again, those big U-bolts that go around that big bumper. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but this is the first step towards that direction. Alright guys, so it just got done pouring down the rain. This is a couple days after that first part of the video that I shot. And I got this from UPS. Remember I said I got some stuff on order? Well, the order came in, so let's take a look what's inside. Okay, you got all kinds of stuff here. All kinds of important read, all that stuff. Man, they definitely want you to communicate. That's kind of nice. Got a decal even. Now, as far as this safety strut, there are different ones. You guys need to know what kind of bumper that you have on your vehicle and at that point determine which one of these that you have to order. Now in my case, this is an SSN that I need, and I don't really see that on this here. Yeah, it's talking about the beam and how to mount it if you've got different styles. The SSN one, which is this one, you can see it's checked SSN. This one just kind of bolts onto the frame, which I have just a flat frame that's underneath there. It's not a tube frame or anything. Yeah, I like the way they're designed. These are a lot thicker than I thought they would be. So, of course, I'm not doing that today because everything's wet. And it's not something I want to lay under. Plus, we still have possibly some storms still rolling in here. And let's take a look at this. And I'm going to bring this to the back of the RV and take a look at how it looks up on top and off to the side, that kind of thing. Yeah, we had a downpour. We've been waiting for it sort of all day. See, this is the problem that I have. I can't put this on top necessarily because it won't go down far enough to allow that door to open. I wish it would, because then I could just mount it, you know, here, and that hitch would be up out of the way. And the reason I don't want to bolt it down here is, well, I've already drugged this bumper on the corners. I've drugged down there, and I drugged the bumper over there too, because this RV sits so low. Oh my, this thing really don't want to go down on there. Let's try to start a corner. Yeah, I'm not moving that at all. Wow. Well, we got a quality control issue. If you look at this thing and look at the weld, as far as the distance, there's not as much distance from the end to the beginning of the plate here as there is here. There's a lot more, and it's the same up here too. This distance, you know, you can see my fingers kind of getting slightly pinched a little bit there, but if I do it on this side, it easily fits with room to spare. I mean, I can actually wiggle it in there. That's why it's not fitting. So that's another good reason to be buying from Amazon, because I can just call them and they're going to come pick this up, and I'm going to get another one shipped to me right away. That's going to have to go back to Amazon, so that means we got to pick this up another day. So alakazam, kaboom, bam. So here's the correct one, and it looks like it's welded straight, but it's definitely, obviously, a different day. And I've already done some work, but it's a different day. I got a jacket on. Heidi's got a jacket on. I got long pants on. Heidi's got some kind of leggings on, because it is much cooler today because it's Ohio. I don't know if you guys can tell, but we definitely have less humidity, and the temperature is actually about 80 on the porch here, but our high today is like 74. Our high tomorrow is going to be 60 something. Yeah, for you guys that are cooler weather type people, I mean, it's a nice day out. It's fluffy clouds and sun peeking in and out, a little bit of a breeze, but I'm telling you, I need a jacket. So I'm going to put these struts on, and you can see kind of how they just cradle the bumper. And you got to be careful, like I mentioned before, what kind of insulation you have and what kind of brackets you need. All right, because of the lighting and the way that it's showing up here on the camera, I'm probably not going to be able to show you any kind of drilling or anything like that until after it's done. But the first thing you can see is that I have these ground wires that go up to my tail lights, and I need to relocate these. I have one on each side, and all I'm going to do is just, you know, unbolt them from the frame and then relocate them somewhere else. So I have to drill an additional hole. I have an additional step. All right, so here's pretty much the finished product, and boy, does it look goofy. That's because of a few things. First of all, I tried to drill a new hole dead in the center of this bracket to mount the wiring for the trailer lights, and it didn't work out so well. The drill bit broke off in there, so I had to pull the drill bit out, and I went to a bigger self-tapping bolt. that I had laying around, and that self-tapping bolt did a great job until it got flush, and then it just snapped off. So I tried utilizing one of these other smaller holes for, again, the same reason, and unfortunately, once you go so far into that hole, it starts to hit the shoulder of the locking nut that's on the other side, so that didn't work. So I just had to drill and put a self-tapping screw here, again, for the ground. So this looks really crappy, but I'll tell you this thing is solid. I mean, it is really solid. Once you get those 3 bolts on there and you get them snugged down to where the little ramps, the engagements, I really don't know what to call them. They're the locking mechanisms that are on the bolts. You can see here it's serrated. Those serrations, once they dig into the metal, they're tight. They are not coming loose. So yeah, really good luck here. Unfortunately, I'm swatting little sweat bees the whole time that I'm working. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. And man, I'm impressed with this product so far. It's really much more stable than I thought it was going to be. And I can't imagine the bumper really getting ripped off at this point. All right, so now the other one is taken care of, and it looks pretty darn good. Went up there pretty decent, and I have no doubt, again, that this is going to hold just fine. All right, so obviously I've got an issue here that I didn't realize. I just assumed this was a standard 4-inch bumper, 4x4, and I should have known better, because this hose, this Rhino Flex, fits up in here fine. You can see it with the fittings and everything. There's no problems. And I know that the people that make these support saddles, or whatever you want to call them, they make a bumper, and they talk about how their bumper will accommodate these kind of hoses. Well, this bumper accommodates that hose just fine. So I finally did an outside measurement, and the outside measurement on this thing is 4 1/4 this way and 4 1/2 this way. So this bumper is definitely bigger than a standard 4x4. So I've got to do something different. All right, so it's yet another day, and I'm going to get this project done eventually. And again, I like showing whenever we have screw-ups, and I definitely have a screw-up. I think that a lot of you should go out and measure your rear bumper on your RV. It should be 4x4 square. But in my case, I didn't even realize that I had an oversized one. Yet another box. Let's open it up and look at this hitch. It's going to be completely different than that Kurt hitch that I was trying to install. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to have to do to make it stronger. As you can see, this one is listed for 4-inch and 4 1/2-inch bumpers. That's something that Amazon didn't list on their website, but in the Q&A, somebody answered that. So this one's from Quick Products. Now, big difference here. This one is designed for use on continuously welded steel bumpers only. Mine is not continuous welded. What I'm going to do in my case is help this thing out. Now, I did see a review of someone that kind of did what I plan on doing, and that is putting a plate also on top, kind of like this, and then running bolts through and then down underneath the bumper. So this plate, you know, would be sitting on top in the picture here. I know that's kind of hard to see there, but so the plate would sit on top. The bolts go all the way through, which these bolts won't work, and that's something else that I'll tell you. Maybe you should be upgrading these bolts anyways, because I don't really care for these. I don't think that they're that great of a grade of bolt, and that nobody else does online, so I'll go to a bigger bolt. So even though this was essentially cheaper, you know, to start off with, it's going to cost me probably about the same once I buy all this other stuff. Then for the bottom, whenever I bolt the plate to the bottom, I'm going to put a bigger steel plate. I'm also going to put a bigger steel plate underneath this, and that's because there's a potential that the bumper will get crushed. But the first thing I got to do is make sure this even fits and that the door will clear up on top. So let's go look at that. So I kind of got good news and bad news. The first thing is the door does clear. You can see here, just barely clears. I mean, it's, look how close that is. The bad news is it doesn't go back far enough. You can see here that the holes are partially blocked, or maybe you can see, I don't know how my lighting's working here. the holes are partially blocked because it can't slide back far enough. So what I gotta do is definitely find the center of the bumper, and then I could notch the hitch, but it's probably easier for me to notch this aluminum that is holding it back. Even then, I might still have a problem with the hitch and how deep it goes into the RV for that drop down carrier. Yeah, let me go see where that lines up whenever the holes line up, and I might have to drill new holes in the side. You know, there's going to be a lot of fabrication here because of this door and the way this RV is designed. So again, not too good there, but I definitely don't want to put it underneath. It's just too low. I mean, it's set so low, and I've already drugged this bumper, so I don't want to be doing it again. Okay, so this is the hitch part of the cargo carrier, and of course this is the part that slides into the receiver that I was just talking about. Now, what I want to do to keep the weight as close as possible to the support of the bumper is make sure that this is as deep into this hitch as it goes. Now, there's a plus here, and that is if I go with the way it's designed right now, there's the hitch hole, and it's lined up, and you can see that the hitch is inside. It does not come out. So that's good as far as the clearance. However, I want this all the way up. I want it as close and as tight as possible, within reason. So right about there is going to require me to drill new holes in this part here, the receiver, and I'm going to cut this off, this part of the hitch, to where it is flush with this end, or even a little bit in further, just slightly, so that it's on this collar. And I'll tell you why I'm going to do that. The weight of that thing, which is I think 45 pounds, I think that's what it weighs. This hitch, if I bolt it on just the way that it comes with the bolts that it comes, it's only supposed to support 200 pounds. Now again, remember that I have right now no plans or intentions of hauling the generator and the propane tank as I drive down the road. All it's for is just in this transportation mode, up and down, and then when we get to where we want to boondock possibly, we're going to lower it then and put the generator on it. So what I want you to do is just picture the receiver that I'm going to bolt onto the bumper as your shoulder. So let's pretend your arm then is the hitch going into your shoulder. Well, you guys know that whenever you carry anything, it's a lot easier to carry it against your body, you know, up close, than it is at arm's length. So that's what I want to do. I want to take what I'm holding, which would be the entire cargo carrier that's being supported by my shoulder, the receiver, and I want to pull it in close. I want to put it close to my shoulder so it's easier to carry. So there's less weight being exerted on it. It's all about leverage. And basically, the further out that cargo carrier is, the more leverage that's being forced on my shoulder or that cargo carrier receiver. So I'm going to go ahead and make that distance as short as possible. Now, there was some talk, Heidi and I discussed it, of making it to where this cargo carrier was mounted permanently on the back of the RV and not in being able to fold up or fold down. I don't think that we're going to do that. It's something we might discuss in the future, but again, this is just temporary for this RV, and we don't want to mess around with having too much money involved with something that we're going to end up getting rid of. And quite honestly, for a lot of people that'll be buying this as a camper, they may not want all that stuff. So we'll have to see how it all works out, but let's get back to this install. I want to complete this today. Gosh darn it.
Alright guys, it is definitely much later and I've done a bunch of work. First of all, I went and bought grade 8 bolts, and yes, start laughing now. This is where the soundtrack comes in. This is an old saw blade that we had that was in the scrap metal that I was getting rid of. And anyways, let me tell you about it. Basically, in a nutshell, if you guys don't want to watch any more of this, do not do this unless you have a continuously welded 4-inch bumper that is strong and is not two-piece like mine. You can see mine's two-piece. There's just spot welds here that holds the bottom in place, and this thing was crushing like a cheap piece of paper. Now I had a metal plate that fit perfect in between here on the bottom side that didn't work. It caused this to bow out whenever I was torquing it down. None of it was working. It wasn't working the way that it's supposed to. So what you see here is what I had to do. We put these in here to take up the space that was in between the bolts in the front side, because the way this is, it keeps the bolts right up against the back of the bumper. I mean, they're right up tight. So as far as whenever it started to bow out, whenever it was being compressed, it couldn't in the back because the bolts were holding it, but it was doing it in the front. So we took up the distance with this piece of metal here. We couldn't put a bigger piece of plate metal in there, or I would have. Look at those sweat beads. They're just crazy this time of year. I don't know what the deal is, but they are everywhere. I need to get them out of here. So I also then had to get a big piece of plate steel that was equal to what I was already putting on the bottom to help spread out the load over a greater area. So this plate, as you can see here, and you can see from my son's van sticker, it was something he used to have when he used to fingerboard all the time. He's got a ton of fingerboards. It spreads out the load over a larger area of the bumper so it doesn't just crush it. I'll tell you how bad it crushed it. We couldn't get our hose out. The hose was stuck in there initially, and I pulled and it finally came out. And then I had to take the porta power, and with Heidi helping, she's been helping all this time, I taped it to the porta power. And if you guys haven't seen how these things work, a lot of you know what this is, but I'll show you for the guys that don't. It's just a little jack. That's all it is. And I had to push this up into the bumper tube on this board, and then you pump it up and it exerts force. As you can see here, the mouth opens, and we could open it back up again. We made the bumper back to the square that it used to be, so the hose would come out, or at least we could get it back in. So this will be my first test. Let's see if the hose comes out. Ah, how nice is that? Yeah, this fitting here wasn't coming out before. So I suggest that the only way that you do this, there we go, it always kind of bound up there in the first place. I need to clean in there. You hear it's a little rusty, a little dirty. So I suggest the only way that you do this is if you have a good solid bumper that is one piece continuously welded. Then you need to put these on, then you can put this on. And again, I would have done this totally different if I could put a big steel plate on top, but I can't because of the door. But the door opens. That's all I was concerned with there. So let's get the hitch finally, or the carrier, the cargo carrier, and put it on here and see what this thing looks like. And then I'm going to paint this to make it look a little better. Also forgot to show you, this is the piece of tubing that I cut off of that cargo carrier so I could go that much closer to the RV. And it's on there. I just have to put the pin in there. This is something that we've had for a long time as a backup. Figured I might as well go ahead and use it, but this is what it looks like, and it's perfect. I mean, it fits in between the lights well enough that I think that the lights are still viewable at a good angle. I can't stand when somebody has stuff so far out that you can't really see the turn signals if you are relatively close and on the opposite side. But yeah, let's go ahead and put this thing down. I got to put this pin in, and I'll show you why I've got a nut for the bolt that helps with tightening up here in just a second. All right, guys, so this is when it folded out. You can see I've got the hitch pin in there, and you can see there's still movement on it. You see how much it moves, the rack, and that's what this is for. But I got a jam nut because that'll help this bolt not back off as much, because it's just barely threaded, the thickness of that wall. Quite honestly, you could weld a nut on this, probably do a little bit better, but just put the bolt all the way like that. We'll go ahead and get it started. I'll get a wrench on it. We'll get it tightened up here. You can see I just got a couple threads on there, and it's already wanting to hang up. There we go. I can feel it up against the hitch pretty decently at this point. I'm going to go ahead and snug it up. That's pretty tight. And then this will help the whole process. I don't know why they don't include an extra nut just for this reason, but you know, that's just manufacturing. That's the way they do things. Well, I'm up against my lock. I might have to take the lock off to get a good tighten to it. No, it looks like that's it. All right, so now let's take a look at it. Heidi got me some food at the dollar store. All right, you can see this is pretty darn solid at this point. Again, we're not going down the road with it out like this, but we could. That's the most important thing. Now, if we did, what I would do is make some sort of a support that's equal to what's already on there. I wouldn't necessarily buy any more of those. I would probably just get some square tube and bolt it on somehow. I quite honestly, I don't think that I want to do any of that. But this will allow us to boondock just like this. See, this is what I don't like if we were to keep it on there permanently. You know, look how far out that stands. That's a decent amount whenever I like how short the RV is. I mean, that's definitely another 2 foot. You know, that's probably what we should do, I guess, is bring out the generator and propane tank and set it on here, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do that. All right, guys, so here it is. This is what it looks like. And yeah, not too bad. Excuse the milk crate. I mean, it's the best way to carry them and the cheapest way. So let me go inside and see what it's about. I got the economy mode off. So there is a vibration in here, and it's not terrible. It's not terrible. I'll have to play around with some sort of vibration mat that is that goes underneath the generator, but this isn't terrible. I was getting ready to lay on the bed and see what it's like. Let's go ahead and try it. This isn't bad. Yeah, I can't say that this is bad at all. I'm gonna have Heidi check it out.
Well, let's see. If you got the air on, right?
Nope.
No, I said you could have the air on.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah, well, that's the only reason we'd really run it.
I know. I'm just saying. If I was tired, I'd be. It ain't no different than being at the.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I was gonna say. This is about the same amount of noise as being at a truck stop with the trucks near us. It's the same kind of vibration. Still, I think we might be able to do better.
Pull in forward.
We can pull in any way we want now. Yeah. Now, as far as securing it to the back, I mean, I have really long cable chains that I can run around it. Feel the vibration here.
Not too bad though.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think that I might be able to fix it by putting a vibration pad underneath of it. But it's not, this isn't bad. This is probably going to work. Again, the hardest part is just getting the generator up there. I don't think Heidi, you know what, let's see if Heidi can do it. Let's turn all this off, see if she can do it. All right, so Heidi thinks that taking it off shouldn't be a problem, so she's going to try it. Go ahead, Heidi. Why aren't you using your legs instead of your back?
Because my arms are, I have gimpy arms.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're supposed to use your legs and let your gimpy arms. Uh-oh.
Yep, I knew I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Well, now, how much do you think it weighs?
60 pounds?
Yeah.
That's all?
No.
More?
Yes.
75.
No.
90.
No.
100?
Yes. 100,
Oh,
about
right.
105, 110.
Yeah, taking it off is not going to be a problem.
Yeah, but getting it up there, here, I'll show you.
I mean, I probably could.
Here, I think
would
it's
struggle.
110. So, for me, I mean, it's not a big deal.
Okay, maybe I could practice.
But
I ain't counting on
I'm
it.
also taller. I mean, if I had to lift it, this difference of our height. I mean, it'd be harder for me. So basically what you want to do is you want to pick it up and pull it up on your body as far as you can, and then lean back and just kind of, but I mean, that's all strain on your back. You don't have to do it as long as I'm doing it.
As long as you can do it. I'm sure
as
you
I
can get
can
up
do
here. Hey, I need help.
All right, so that's it. That's the whole installation. I was hoping that this was more of a DIY thing, but this is going to be more of an experience thing. My bumper's reinforced. We can put this stuff up on here. Heidi can take it off. It runs. It'll work. It'll get us air conditioning while we're boondocking, and of course I can just chain it to the back bumper. And if push comes to shove and we need to carry something on the back here, not this much weight, but we could.
A couple coolers.
Yeah, if we had to do something weird like that, but shouldn't be a problem. But I want to show you guys what it looks like in the stored up position, and of course, you know, at that point we'll be able to travel with it, and I'll tell you how it does as far as loosening up, and if it rattles around, or if it's messing up the bumper anymore. And I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on there.
Or if it's gone when you're driving down the road.
So I got to see people telling me that it's gone. But that's it, guys. I hope this worked out for you some way. If anything, learned how not to do it. And as always, I hope to see you out there.
Bye.
Bye.